Ow! 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 What goes good with puppies? Kids. And what goes good with kids? Why, comic books, of course. Many kids out there in our audience have whiled away the hours reading about Flash Gordon and Batman. But as we find out in our next story, comic books are not for kids anymore. They've been around since the 30s. And after a half century, comic books aren't just for kids anymore.
I think comics nowadays are not something that you grow out of, but something that you grow with.
John Hitchcock is manager of Acme Comics in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's one of thousands of specialty stores that has popped up across the country in the 80s. The comic book industry is quietly taking in $500 million a year.
It wasn't written for anybody older. And now there's a whole section of comics, not necessarily adversely violent or adversely sexual, but they're just written for mature readership, college and beyond. So there's comics now that you can read that don't insult your intelligence, but it's comics that'll challenge you.
A prime example of how comic book characters are being handled in an adult fashion is reflected in the upcoming Batman movie due out this summer. The film stars Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson as the Joker.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Gone are the cornball days of Adam West and Cesar Romero. Gone also is the teenage sidekick Robin, who was violently killed off last year. And if that's not enough, Batgirl was graphically shot in the spleen and replaced by a love interest that wants Batman to let himself go. Another popular comic is Watchmen. In a recent issue, one of the superheroes uses gangland tactics to get answers. He says, "I've just broken this man's little finger. Who killed Edward Blake?" When he didn't get the right answer. And his index finger? Who killed Edward Blake? Well, even the characters got grossed out. This is being read by adults and kids.
There is a lot more violence than there used to be. When I was reading Batman, he used to be a real nice guy, and now he swears, he does bad stuff. It's surprising to me.
Is it still okay for him to read it?
Well, I don't know. The TV shows are bad. Everything's getting violent. So it's hard to keep him away from it.
Along with the old comics with new adult appeal, there are new comics with the same appeal. Here's one, Brought to Life. It's a real-life story of the Iran-Contra scandal. Its central figure? Ollie North, of course. Black Kiss is another new comic book on the market, and this one is definitely for adults only. Now, even though it has a legitimate storyline, some of the illustrations leave little to the imagination.
It's not Friday unless I can come up to the comic book store. I mean, it's just not a Friday. This is the peak of the week for me.
A break from reality. You know, that's my main reason. I've been reading them since I was 8, and that was my main reason, just to block the real world out and go into a fantasy world.
How old are you now?
25.
Comic books are changing, or maybe better put, evolving. World War II gung-ho Sergeant Fury is giving way to the realism of Nam, a comic about the heartbreak of the Vietnam War. It doesn't stop there. You can even read about the life and times of Pope John Paul and Mother Teresa, all in comic book form. Some even call comics art, but whatever you call it, it seems they're here to stay, for kids and adults.
The 50s stereotype of a dummy rolling up a comic and sticking in his back pocket is dying rapidly, and people are just now beginning to wake up and realize it.
The price of comic books aren't for kids either. Oh, they start for 75 cents or $1, but they're also good investments. If you had the issue where Robin was killed off about 4 or 5 months ago, it would now be worth $30. And if you had issue #1 of Superman, you could get over $30,000 depending on the condition.
Well, from comic books to pets, it seems that's a regular